Support for this podcast comes from the St. Alphonsus Neuroscience Institute, offering technology to provide treatment for neurological, neurosurgical, and neurointerventional conditions. This includes a dedicated neurotrauma ICU for critical care of the brain or spine and a 24/7 stroke team. More at stalphonsus.org.
How's everybody doing? You guys all right?
Boise State Public Radio and Duck Club Entertainment present the Charlie Hunter Trio.
Charlie Hunter, ladies and gentlemen.
Wednesday, March 18th at the Shrine Social Club in Boise. Blending jazz, funk, blues, and rock. Hunter is a guitarist, producer, and bandleader who will present his unique finger-picking technique on custom hybrid guitars. Tickets are available now at theduckclub.com.
From Boise State Public Radio News, this is The Connector, Idaho Daily News. It's Monday morning, March 9th. I'm Troy Oppie. Thanks for listening. Here are today's headlines. Athletic Club Boise made its debut Saturday. Some lawmakers are gearing up to target Medicaid expansion in the state. And the Idaho State Police budget set to get a boost from beer tax. Those stories in a moment. First, America's war with Iran is choking crude oil shipping lanes in the Middle East. A Boise State political science professor says the impact of that on our gas prices also reveals how many Idahoans view the overall economy. Here's George Prentice on this Monday morning.
It's estimated that 20% of the planet's petroleum passes through the Strait of Hormuz, only 20 miles wide at its narrowest choke point. And now maritime traffic is essentially paralyzed.
That indeed does have a type of butterfly effect on the economy.
This is Boise State professor Dr. Ross Burkhart, political scientist, researcher, and author of a years-long study of how for many Idaho voters, when they see gas prices, that greatly informs how they see the overall economy.
So gas prices have really become heavily polarized.
And with that, the war may likely cast a longer, wider shadow on this year's election.
We're likely going to feel the impact of this for, I would say, not just the short term, but maybe into the medium term, months from now.
And while the party in power may tap our nation's strategic reserve of oil or declare a gas tax holiday, Burkhart says for the economy, those are very temporary measures. George Prentice, Boise State Public Radio News.
Tune in to Idaho Matters Monday at noon for the full conversation. To the State House now, where Governor Brad Little will soon decide whether to impose further budget cuts to state agencies in the current fiscal year. James Dawson has more.
House lawmakers on Friday gave the okay to $131.3 million in cuts. That would add an extra 1% across-the-board trim to most state agencies on top of Governor Little's 3% cuts made last summer. Republican Representative Faye Thompson says the situation is dire.
We have to make the cuts. We don't have a choice. Our budget is exploding.
Records show Idaho's budget has remained nearly flat for the past 2 decades when factoring in population growth and inflation. Opponents of the cuts, like Republican Representative Clay Handy, say lawmakers should dip into the state's more than $1.5 billion in reserves to balance the budget.
Rainy day fund, or whatever you want to call it, it's for when you have hiccups. It's not that you sit on until there's a disaster.
Governor Little's staff have pushed back against some of the cuts for weeks. He'll soon have to choose whether to sign, veto, or let the bill take effect without his signature. James Dawson, Boise State Public Radio News.
$22 million in proposed cuts to Idaho's Medicaid program were not included in budget legislation approved by the Joint Finance Appropriations Committee Friday. The Idaho Capital Sun reports the legislature's budget-setting group approved the final piece of the Medicaid spending plan for next year, totaling more than $5.5 billion. That's several million over what Governor Brad Little had proposed for the program. Little had also suggested the $22 million in cuts to line items like disability services, but lawmakers kept that funding intact because the loss of services could end up costing the state more money in the long run, they said. Separately, a standalone bill cutting nearly $22 million from the state Medicaid program has recently stalled in the House Health and Welfare Committee. Some state lawmakers are continuing to target the voter-approved Medicaid expansion in Idaho. A bill repealing it is expected to be introduced in the House Health and Welfare Committee today. if lawmakers approve that bill, could receive a public hearing at a later date. A bill that would help Idaho State Police with alcohol enforcement and raises for troopers is headed to the House floor. The legislation would repurpose beer taxes from 5% alcohol beverage sales instead of giving the $1.6 million to the Permanent Building Fund, putting that revenue toward ISP's Beverage Enforcement and Choice Fund, which Republican Representative Mike Moyle told the State Affairs Committee Friday is for trooper compensation. The bill doesn't change tax rates, it just reroutes the revenue.
There's not a need for it to go there. We need more on the ISP side of things.
That bill unanimously advanced to the House floor with a do-pass recommendation. 2 people, including 1 juvenile, are dead after their car rolled off a remote road and into a river south of Atlanta in Boise County this weekend. Idaho State Police says a family of 4 from Star driving on Arrow Rock Road swerved around another vehicle but went off the road, and the car rolled down an embankment into the water. A 35-year-old female and 1 juvenile were able to escape the car from the water with help from bystanders, but a 37-year-old male, the driver, and another juvenile were pronounced dead at the scene. The investigation remains ongoing. One of the Treasure Valley's largest companies has shrunk its staff for the second time in less than a year. Meridian-based wickless candle company Scentsy cut approximately 11% of its workforce late last week. It's about 90 people based on previous reports of the company's size. The move follows more than 100 job cuts made last April. Severance packages based on years of service were offered to affected workers, according to the company. CEO Dan Orchard, in a statement, said the cuts were needed to ensure Scentsy's long-term success. The ski season at Soldier Mountain is over. The resort announced on Facebook Friday that it was shutting down operations for the winter after conditions haven't allowed the safe opening of much terrain on the ski slopes. They'll be looking forward to better snow next year, the mountain said in its announcement. Athletic Club Boise made its debut Saturday on the road at Sarasota, another team that was making its debut in the USL League One. Scoreless until the 75th minute.
Oh, here's a lovely opportunity into the area, and it is a goal for Dennis Kostashin. He etches his name into Boise history.
That call courtesy of ESPN+, which will broadcast all of AC Boise's games this year. Dennis Kostashin is the answer to the trivia question. He tapped home a great cross from Eagle native Blake Bodley, and AC Boise got its first ever goal, plus a clean sheet from goaltender Joseph Endema. Boise wins in its first game ever, 1-0. They have another road game awaiting March 22nd, and then the home debut April 4th at Expo, Idaho. Boise State men's basketball wrapped up its regular season on a 5-game winning streak, reaching the 20-win mark for the 5th straight season. The Broncos earned the 6th seed at the Mountain West Tournament, which starts Wednesday in Las Vegas. First up, 11-seeded San Jose State, Wednesday at 9:30 p.m. Mountain Time. The winner will move into the quarterfinals to face 3rd-seeded New Mexico. And in a funny coincidence, Boise State men will want to take the same path as the Boise State women have just walked. Lady Broncos beat San Jose State on Saturday and then beat New Mexico in the quarterfinals yesterday behind 15 points from Danny Baez. Final score 62-61. That win gave head coach Gordy Presnell the all-time wins record as a coach at the Mountain West Tournament. Boise State women advanced to the semifinals today, 6 p.m. Mountain Time against top-seeded San Diego State. And the Idaho Vandals men's basketball team gets a win in the quarterfinals, an upset victory over 2nd seed at Montana State, 78-74. That's at the Big Sky Conference basketball tournament being held in Boise. And on our website today, boisestatepublicradio.org, you will hear directly from 21-year-old Treasure Valley native and Texas A&M student Allie Garvin, who was in Doha, Qatar, for a semester abroad as part of her petroleum engineering degree. She was stuck until this past weekend, and she spoke with our Julie Luqueta on her road home. You'll be able to find that conversation at boisestatepublicradio.org. That's your connector on this Monday morning. To stay in touch with the news between now and then, use our website or download our free app for your smartphone. Search Boise State Public Radio in your favorite app store. I'm Troy Oppie. Make it a great Monday. We'll catch you back here again tomorrow morning.